guys, it's me Charlie, and today I'm going to share with you 5 simple, realistic, easy to understand tips to help you climb to Infinite. Alright, so the first one is cube management. Now, I know this is not something new, this is not something that I created, I invented. Okay, it's something that a lot of people talk about. In fact, most people say it's the most important thing, which is why I have to talk about it. Okay, but I'm gonna put it across to everyone in a very simple to understand manner. Basically, if you're not willing to bet your lunch money on the outcome of the game, don't bet your cubes on it. It's as simple as that. Okay, and you need to understand, okay, if you are the type who wants to play out every game, then okay, for effective cube management, you have to pick decks that have higher win rates. Okay, you cannot go with decks like Mr. Negative. You cannot go with decks that pull a surprise 8 cuber. Alright, because for that kind of decks, most of the time you retreat. Okay, and then you pull off a huge winning. Okay, so you need to know what deck you are using, what kind of deck you are using. Okay, and that plays towards your cube management. Wrapping it up, if you're not willing to bet your lunch money, retreat. That is good cube management. Number 2, you need to know your deck. What do I mean by knowing your deck? There are basically a lot of decks in deck archetypes in Marvel Snap. Okay, but for the sake of climbing, I will say that there are two types. One is a statistics deck. Okay, where basically you just add points on the board. Okay, you just keep playing, you keep adding points. The other one is what I call a combo deck. Okay, you have to pull off a combo. There's some kind of sequence involved, you have to do certain things. Okay, for example, a Tribunal deck. You need to pull off your Iron Man Onslaught Tribunal, or a Shuri Nimrod deck, or a Phoenix Force deck. Okay, you need to get all these trigger off. Okay, to build into a huge board for yourself. Now, with a statistics deck, you would typically still have a chance going into turn 6 regardless of what happens, because you are always able to add points on board. Alright, but with a combo deck, if you do not have a combo, you are basically screwed, you are basically fucked. Alright, let's say a Shuri Nimrod deck. If you didn't draw your Nimrod, basically you're screwed. If you drew your Nimrod but you didn't draw your Shuri, you have a very weak Nimrod. Okay, so you need to know your deck. You need to know your deck, and if you are playing a combo deck, alright, you don't have a combo, you have to retreat. It's as simple as that. Alright, so tip number 2, know your deck, know the difference between a combo deck and a statistics points deck. Third tip, you need to know your opponent's deck. Okay, and I think this is actually the most important one. Okay, you need to know your opponent deck, you need to know what deck they are playing by latest turn 3. In fact, by turn 2, you should be able to guess what kind of decks that they are playing already. Okay, the reason why this is very important, and I rate it as the most important tip today, is because when you know your opponent's deck, you will be able to know how you can counter them and how they can counter you. Alright, a lot of times I see a lot of people going into turn 6 and then saying that, okay, I will win unless they have this particular card, and bam, the opponent does have that particular card. Now, all this can be avoided if you know what deck your opponent is playing. You will be able to have a rough gauge whether would it be likely that they'll fit in that card into that deck. Okay, like for example, for the longest time, a lot of destroy decks don't run Shang-Chi. Discard deck typically don't run Shang-Chi as well. So I have no issues, you know, if my turn 6 play is a huge card, boom, I know it's fine. Alright, so you need to know these kind of things. The fourth tip, okay, this is something that I've actually covered before: abuse hot locations. Certain hot locations just favor certain decks very heavily. They just do, okay, and I've done one with regards to cloning bots, how it's insane for destroy decks. Okay, you can check out the video on the playlist. This season, the hot location Tinker's Workshop, I made a video, I told you guys, abuse it, use a Galactus Goblins deck. Okay, and with it I also ascended into Infinite very quickly. I have very high win rate, very high cube rate on it as well. Look through my previous videos. Okay, but basically if you want to climb Infinite, abuse the hot locations. If you refuse to abuse the hot locations, at least have an inkling what these locations benefit, what kind of decks these locations will benefit, and you will know. Okay, you'll likely have to retreat against such decks. Now the fifth final tip that I have for everyone today, okay, is that you should know that you have 4 weeks, 5 weeks to reach Infinite. There is no need to rush. Slow and steady wins the race. You do not have to reach Infinite on day 1, day 2. There's no additional rewards, nothing. Alright, and reaching there early doesn't mean that, of course you can start if you are into it, you can start climbing upwards again. Okay, but that doesn't mean that, you know, that person who reached Infinite earlier will definitely have a higher ranking than you at the end of the season. Because, okay, like what I mentioned, that person could be lucky, could have been facing some bots, could have been facing opponents who were greedy, okay, or could have been abusing hot locations. These kind of things eventually, alright, will even out itself, will sort itself out. So don't rush into wanting to make Infinite and ending up gambling recklessly on your cubes. Alright, that's all I have for everyone today. 5 tips. 1. If you are not willing to bet your lunch money on the outcome of the match, don't see it through. 2. Understand how your deck operates. 3. Understand how your opponent's deck operates. Okay? 4. Abuse hot locations. And 5. Be patient. Alright, so for those who still haven't reached Infinite, you still have 2 weeks, 1 day to reach. Good luck.